Hey guys, it's Cory again. Today we're taking a look at just some optimizations, some things that I've learned from writing code. And you could probably, improve your, some people could improve their scripts. One of the things I noticed, I'm just, coming back into my, one of my scripts here that I'm looking at in Go High Level. And this is an Air calling flow. And I've got some things, you kind of build this stuff out and it kind of grows organically. And so I better put something here, put something there. One of the things I'm doing is I'm receiving a post call outcome from Air and then waiting for a minute it just gives me an opportunity, mostly when I'm debugging, to do something here. If I can either adjust it up or down or what have you. And then I go all these different routes. But one of the things that I started noticing as I'm looking at this, because I'm kind of doing some optimization now, and the reason you want to do the optimization is because your code is going to be less cluttered and easier to read, which means it takes you less time to acquire or someone else to acquire what's going on in your code. So one of the things I've got here is remove this contact from the Air calls workflow. I've got it here, and I've got it there, and I've got it down here, and I've got it down here. So just about every single way that you could get out of this routine, it is going to hit it, including this one. So anything below that is redundant. It's not going to be inside the workflow. Now I do trigger it again right here where I add call with Air. I trigger it into that routine right there, but then I'm exiting this. So we're not going to exist anywhere in here without that having already been called somewhere along the line. So really, if every branch that I've got, or it's just like the typical or, if this or that, and then you go to the not cases of that same thing, they meaning if it can be executed with or without this particular thing in place, then you don't need that gate. You don't need that piece of logic. If the pull is if the pull is standing up or the pull is laying down, do this. Or if the flag is at the top of the flagpole or the flag's down, do this. You don't need the flag at all. It just doesn't need to be there. So it's a reduction in logic complexity. So we used to do things called Carnot maps and some other algebra that we could use to reduce logic down to its bare essence, so that you don't have just a big old Rube Goldberg pile of logic all over the place. But anyway, I'm going to reduce these things out because I can see if I put one right here, it's in any case, I want to remove this because the job of this routine is to call. So a call has occurred and it's been answered now. So now I've answered for a particular contact. So I want to remove the contact from the flow. So one of the things that's possible, and I guess that's why I've got this here, is the contact doesn't exist yet. It's entirely possible that the contact needs to be created. So in this case, if I do have a contact coming in, I want to remove it from the flow. So let's say someone put the contacts in Air, created that. So there's a good reason for this one. So I guess I was thinking pretty clearly on that particular one. But then once I get down to here, the contact's been created, and now I don't need these other ones down here. I don't need these because the contacts already exists, and I can just, I could safely just remove this. So you can't remove all of them, which is important. But you can remove these ones that are, redundant, because anything beyond here, it's already been removed from the workflow anywhere down here. So those are just redundant. And yep, I see this is possible that I do have a contact already created or not. I wish they could put notes in here so that I don't look at these things and go, oh, that's something that could be reduced, because this increment is another one. I increment it in two places, but the case is the contact may or may not exist here. And if it does, I want to decrement it and I want to remove it from the workflow. If it doesn't, then I need to create it, then do that to it. I want to increment the counter and make sure it's not in the airflow or workflow, because this is a create or update contact. So I don't know which it's doing. It's either creating it or it's updating it. And I just want to, at this point, process on the contact. So those two are necessary. These other two are not. They're just redundant. And anytime you can centralize your operation, anytime you can centralize your calculations, your incrementing, your decrementing, your removal of this or that, those things, if you can get them more succinctly stated and more compressed, it gives you less places to go maintain when there's a problem or when there's an upgrade or a change that you need to do. And it reduces your bug count significantly. You just have, for one, you've got less lines of code. So less lines of code just has to have less bugs, because you just don't have to debug those lines of code and make sure that they're there or that they're doing the right thing. And then the other one is it's just, it reduces clutter. There's less to understand and grok about the code when you look at that thing. I've worked on some systems. I remember one assembly language system that I worked on that they had 12 or 15 or 20 people working on it, and they all had different ideas about the way to go about it, and they just had code laying all over the place and redundant things like, well, we turned this off, but it should be off, so we turned it off again another 10 times. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, just keep it's kind of the idea of keeping your code clean. Make sure there are reasons for you to put things in certain places and not just throw it in there as, some other good measure. Yeah, you might reduce certain bugs, but you're going to create a whole other category of bugs that are really, really hard to chase down. So that's why you want to modularize and simplify your logic as much as possible. Anyway, hope that helps.